up, coach? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest content that we're putting out on a weekly basis. And also, if you want help growing and scaling your football coaching business, okay, what we do at the moment is we help coaches worldwide. So whichever market or country you're in, book a free call with me, visit description below this video. That's going to be the best place you and me can connect. Over a Zoom call, we'll jump on, I'll ask you a couple of questions to see where you're currently at, and I can see if I am a good fit to help you in what you're doing. Okay, so make sure you like, subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all the content and you can get our help on a weekly and regular basis. So in today's video, I want to talk about something that I get asked on a regular basis from coaches who aren't part of our accelerator program. And this is something to do with charging and pricing your private coaching sessions. Now, when you join my program and you start working with me on a one-on-one basis, this is something we will talk about regularly. We'll recap your pricing. We'll show you how to charge more. We'll show you how to add more value. We'll show you exactly what parents are looking for, how to make your program better, how to get your parents more committed. And essentially, with all of that, you're going to be able to make more money in the long term. Okay. So today's presentation is going to give you guys a bit of a standard insight into what coaches are currently charging in today's market. And based on what they're charging, depends on how they're pricing. Okay. So what they're offering to parents is based upon how much they're charging. Okay. So I'm going to get straight into this presentation here in front. Again, if you have any questions, description below this video is going to be the best place we can connect. I'm currently working with 20 plus coaches on a monthly basis. I work with them on a one-on-one basis. So visit description below this video. That's going to be the best place. You can either join my program if you are the right fit, or you can get help on anything that I'm going to be talking about today. So if you have a look at the presentation, on the top bit, I've put average cost per session currently, right? So what I've done is I've taken what coaches in the UK, where I am at the moment, are charging compared to coaches in the US who we also work with on a regular basis. So the way you can take this, if you aren't either in the US or the UK, you can go with currently what on average coaches are charging in different phases and then adapt it to whatever market you are in. Okay, so if you're in Australia, take whatever is on this presentation and charge that or more into your local currency. Okay, so when I work with coaches, I look at 3 phases, right? So phase 1 is essentially a beginner coach. He's a coach that's starting out. He might be working with anywhere between 1 to 5 or even 10 clients. Okay, and on average, these coaches are charging per hour anywhere between 20 to 50 pounds, and in the US, $30 to $70 per hour. Okay. Now I want you to remember that word per hour, those 2 words per hour, okay, because it's going to be really important when I talk about the next thing and when I talk about what influences pricing and how to adapt. Okay, so phase 1 coach is typically charging anywhere between 20 to 50 pounds if you're in the UK, or $30 to $70 if you are in the US per hour, right? Now, phase 2 coach is a coach that now starts to build experience and he's in the growth stages, right? So this might be a coach that's working with anywhere between 15 to 25 clients on a weekly basis. He's got experience running a business. He's got experience charging parents for sessions, and he's now at a phase where he's getting referrals and he's getting players coming in on a weekly or monthly basis. So a phase two coach will be someone charging anywhere between 50 to 100 per hour or 70 to $150 per hour, right? That is kind of the standard rate at the moment. Coaches who are in the phase two of their business are charging. Now, the next step, phase three, is now full scale mode, right? So this is typically coaches who have been in business now for two, maybe 3+ years. They're running a successful business. They're getting clients on a regular basis. They have a really successful program. They know what value they add to clients. They know what their program is about. They've already got results with players and parents. So they are confident at charging now higher fees, right? So a phase three coach in the UK is typically charging anywhere between 100 to 250 plus per hour, okay? Or in the US, 150 to $400 plus per hour. Now, also, you've got to take into account a coach that is at phase three is typically working with higher level players. So this might be pro players who play at a higher level and are able to pay that amount of money per hour. Okay. So that's another thing to take into account. Also look at, depending on what phases you are in, will depend on the type of clients you start to work with. So the more experience, the more results, the more value your program starts to add, the better the type of client you're going to start to work with, and the more you can start to charge. Okay. So a key takeaway is take your hourly rate, times it by 4, and build a minimum 3-month program. So this is what we do at Soccer Coaching Business. Is essentially we take a coach in any one of the phases who is just charging per hour, and we get them to times what they charge in per hour by 4. So it's essentially one session per month, per week, right? And you're charging parents and clients on a monthly basis rather than per hour. So we shift all our pricing into a monthly subscription rather than a per hour basis. Okay. And I'm going to talk about in the next bit why that is. So what influences coaches pricing? Okay. So depending on what phase you're in, what essentially influences how much you can charge, how much parents are willing to commit to, what value you add, right? So these are a couple of keynotes. So coach experience and certifications, even though certifications, yes, it's important. And I think now it's starting to become more important because there's more coaches coming into this space. So a way to separate you from other trainers and other coaches, especially one-to-one or small group coaches, is certifications, right? If you are someone that has experience and you're willing to invest into your own coach development, that's going to separate you from other coaches who are in this space. Location, so city versus town. Now, we go back to the phases of each business. A coach that is in a bigger city like London, Los Angeles, or New York may not be able to, will be able to charge higher than a coach that might be in a smaller town in the outskirts of London, like for example, the north of England, or in other parts of the United States. So when you are in a bigger city, the chances are you're probably able to charge a lot higher because there's a lot more people and there's probably people with a lot more financial income to be able to pay you higher rates. When you are in a smaller town, you're sometimes a little bit more restricted to the amount of people that live within that town. So your pricing has to be based on what people are able to pay, right? So that is something that you definitely have to take into account, right? a lot of coaches get confused with this, and because they're in a small town, they want to charge phase three prices. But the reality is they don't have phase three type of clients in their local market. Okay. Next one-on-one versus group sessions. This influences your pricing because, as I'm going to talk about in the next bit, um, when you offer the two, one-to-one training should be more expensive than your group sessions, right? One-to-one is more personalized to the client, whereas group training, yes, is personalized, but you're not giving that sole personal attention to one player. It might be 4 to 8 players that you're working with at the same time. Facilities and equipment. Okay, so if you have to rent a facility to run your sessions, your pricing is going to influence that because you can't charge less if you're paying higher prices for facilities. So that is something that you have to take into account. How much am I charging for facilities? Um, and how much am I spending on equipment on a regular basis to be able to run these sessions? Now, when I talk about equipment, this could be also getting to and from your sessions. So coaches don't take into account, but if you're driving an hour or over an hour for a training session, right, you're spending money on petrol, on gas. So that has to come out of the amount of money you're making on per session. Okay. So if you're spending $15 to $20 or pounds getting to a session, and then that client is paying you 30, right? Essentially, you're not making much profit from that because half of it is going into just getting to the session. So that's something as well. I'd class that under equipment because essentially your car is your vehicle to get to sessions. Um, and also the equipment to run the sessions. So the cost of footballs, the cost of bibs, cones, etc. Right. So when you add value, you'll essentially increase your confidence and you'll have the ability to raise your pricing. Okay, so add value to your sessions. This will help you to stand out from other competitors. And when you add value, you'll get better results with players. When you get better results, you are able to raise your prices. So let's look at one-on-one versus group sessions. So one-on-one should be the highest cost. It's more personalized training. A small group should be cheaper per player. Okay. So the amount that one small group session makes is what essentially one player should be paying for your one-on-one sessions. Okay. So the best way to do this is whatever you charge for your one-on-one sessions, right? Divide that by the amount of players that you want to have in your small group, and that makes usually a good price point. Okay. But always, and this is a problem a lot of coaches have, is they don't charge enough for their one-on-one sessions compared to their groups. So there's not going to be there's not a massive difference between one-on-one sessions and small groups, which means ultimately parents move into the one-on-one more rather than the small groups because they know that you're going to give their child personalized attention. So what I would recommend is have the one-on-one pricing far superior to your small groups. So that way, when parents see the difference in pricing, for them, it's going to make more financial sense to go into your groups. Okay. And then I've got camps, structured and most scalable. Camps are the best way to grow a business because camps, you can have more players training with you at once. So on average, the coaches that I work with, their camps are anywhere between 30 to 50 plus players on one single day, right? Obviously, they have assistant coaches, they have the facilities to be able to run those big groups, but you're able to work with more players at once. You're able to make more profit at once, and it's a lot more scalable because of the amount of parents and players who are coming into your program. And the chances are the referral percentage of the amount of players and parents that are going to refer other parents into your program is far superior and higher compared to smaller groups and one-on-one. So I would always encourage to make sure you get camps up and running because it's going to be the best way to grow and scale. Okay. So what I've added to the bottom is most coaches start off one-on-one and then they scale into groups for more and higher income. Okay. So standard monthly packages. So what I'm seeing at the moment is in the UK, standard monthly packages for one-on-one training is anywhere between 150 to 600 a month. Okay, depending on the city you're in, depending on the level of player you're working with, okay, and depending on the value that you add to players that you work with and the results that you get. Okay, so as I mentioned in previously, your pricing is going to be influenced by many things. Okay, your experience, your certifications, your location. Are you in a city? Are you in a smaller town? Right. Also, the level of client that you're working with. If you're working with a pro player, maybe those type of clients are able to pay you far higher than a grassroots player or parent will be able to. Okay. In the US, standard monthly packages anywhere between 200 to 800 a month at the moment. Or coaches, what they tend to do is they go down the other route of discounts for multiple sessions. Okay. Now, if you need any help with the monthly packaging, that's something that I specialize in. So visit description below this video. That's going to be the best place you and me can connect, and I can help you a lot more with that on a one-on-one basis, right? So the final takeaways: charge based on value, not just your time. Build long-term programs, not just single sessions, and scale with group training to make more money and make more profit. Okay. So coach, if you've enjoyed this video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. And also, again, said it loads of times during this video, you need help, description below. That's going to be the best place you and me can connect. Something I do on a regular basis is I speak to coaches who are either starting, are in phase 1, phase 2, or even phase 3 of their business. And I help them to charge better, add more value, grow their sessions, right? And essentially make more money coaching soccer and coaching football. Okay. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.